It's been months since we heard anything from Phil Mickelson, since he played in any tournaments, following some controversial statements that got leaked about him and Saudi Arabia and human rights violations that, in all honesty, aren't really that controversial, especially when you consider the media are the ones that are trying to say that he shouldn't do things like this when they themselves are constantly cucking and bending the knee for the Communist Party of China and their human rights violations. But now something else is leaked out about Phil Mickelson from the very same source, and it involves what apparently was a massive gambling debt and gambling losses that he had about 10 years ago. Phil Mickelson lost $40 million gambling in 4 years, according to an unofficial biographer that I'm sure Phil Mickelson is not very happy that this guy's going out there and continuing to talk like this. Phil Mickelson suffered a staggering $40 million gambling loss between 2010 and 2014, according to his biographer. Alan Shipnuck, a former golf reporter for Sports Illustrated, has a Mickelson biography entitled Phil, the Rip-Roaring and Unauthorized Biography of Golf's Most Colorful Superstar, which is coming out later this month. In a book excerpt published in the Fire Pit Collective website, Shipnuck cites documents that were compiled when government auditors conducted a forensic analysis of Mickelson's finances, showed that he was a huge gambler. And there was a couple years ago a case that there potentially was some insider trading. Phil Mickelson didn't really get in any trouble, but the person who gave him the tips definitely did get in trouble, who was a big professional sports gambler. While Mickelson was making $40 million per year during those gambling losses, which occurred around the peak of his career, Shipnuck did some back-of-the-envelope math to conclude the habit might have cost him all or most of his money once his costs were accounted for. So he was making about $40 million a year. Of course, half of that goes in taxes. You've got caddy fees, you've got houses, you got car rentals, you got all this stuff, right? Entry fees, whatever it may be. And you rack up $40 million in gambling losses in a 4-year period. That is a lot of money regardless of how rich you are, and that includes Phil Mickelson. Shipnuck points out that disputes over hundreds of thousands of dollars in back pay were at the heart of Mickelson's split from longtime caddy Jim Bones McKay in 2017, and posits the real motivation behind Mickelson's exuberance over the Saudi Golf League was the funny money the upstart league was offering golfers to defect from the PGA Tour. And that's really what this was all about. A Saudi-backed PGA Tour alternative is starting up with some big names, including Phil Mickelson. Greg Norman is one of the people behind this. It sounds like Sergio Garcia may join. Lee Westwood is apparently joining as well. And Phil Mickelson, essentially, there's some leaked dialogue from him saying, I don't really care about all the human rights violations or human rights atrocities from Saudi Arabia as long as the money's right. And he was saying this behind closed doors. Obviously, that all leaked out. But he's being held to the fire, his feet are being held to the fire by the mainstream media, who are the same people who refuse to say anything about China, who refuse to say anything bad about China on their broadcasts with all their human rights violations, because they know that's how they get paid. So these people have no room to talk about Phil Mickelson. And I don't really care about what Phil Mickelson said about Saudi Arabia personally, but $40 million in gambling over a 4-year period is huge. That maybe does explain why he's looking for, to do this Saudi league if he thinks he could get a lot of money from it. We are talking about a guy who's making $40 million a year and $40 million in losses over a 4-year period. But still, those are like eye-popping numbers to anybody. What do you think about this? Do you think Phil has a gambling problem? Do you think this is a lot of the motivation behind some of the stuff he's doing? Let me know in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.